All right, this week promises to be another great week. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. I have 1001 book countdown for you and it is going to be another great one. If you're not familiar right now, I'm doing a 30 book and 30 day challenge, which has been a lot of work, but the benefit is that my countdown is just doing really well. So I'm still having a lot of fun with the project, the 30 books in 30 days project, as well as the 1001 book countdown. But that is why I've had so much progress in the last couple of weeks. If you're not familiar with the 1001 book countdown, I will leave a card up here for you where you can go and check out the original video. But basically, I'm reading books off of the 1001 books you must read before you die list and slowly making my way through that massive project. I combined all editions together, which actually gave me 1,300 books to read. And I just started documenting my journey out here on YouTube a couple of years ago when I got close to the 1001 number, because it sounded good. But hopefully you consider giving me a subscribe and sticking around and seeing how far I get on this massive project. Not every countdown video will have this number of books in it, that I know, but it has been a fun project that I've been doing in the month of September, really to celebrate Shorty September, though some of the books I've been reading have not been super short. But for today, what we will go ahead and do is put up the numbers, which are 862, which is my main number of the 1,300 that I have left. 27. Every year at the beginning of the year, I pre-select 52 books that I like to try and focus on for the year with the goal of getting that number to 0. I have not made it any of the years that I have been documenting this out here on YouTube. I don't know if this year is going to be any different than that, but I have made so much progress this month that it now seems like it could be possible, at least, where at the beginning of the month, no. So I'm pretty excited for that. And like I said, I do have a good update. I don't quite yet know how many books will be in this update, as I'm recording this fairly early in the week, and then we'll add on as I go. The first book that I have to share with you is this one, Siddhartha by Herman. Hesse, I'm not sure which way you say that. This book was originally published in 1922, and this is my first Herman Hesse that I have actually read. This author has 4 books on the countdown, and this is my first one. So I had no basis and I had no background as to what this was about. This particular book follows main character whose name is Siddhartha as he's going through and trying basically to find what the meaning of his life is, and what the meaning of life in general is, really. And he goes through wide extremes, extreme poverty, he goes through extreme wealth, he has people with him, he's alone. There's a wide variety of different pieces on this particular book. I thought the book was okay. What I've realized is, even from doing my short that I did earlier in the week, that this book, where you're at in your life, has a different impact on you. Where you live, it may have a different impact on you. For me, this isn't necessarily my typical read, but I know that some people got a ton from this book, and then others say that it's just okay, which I find really interesting as well. I'm really curious about reading more of this author, because in the end, it was a pretty easy book to get through and understand for the most part. Even if it wasn't something that was one of my favorite books, it was a pretty easy kind of book to make my way through. So I'm curious about some of the others. I picked this one because it was the shortest one. Every book after that is much longer than this particular one, so it will not be read in the month of September, but maybe next year, we'll see. But Siddhartha from Herman Hesse, this particular book, we get to go from 862 to 861, and it was on my 2023 list, so we get to go from 27 to 26. That's incredible. And I'm not done. So the next book that I have to talk to you about is this one, The Parable of the Blind by Gert Hofman. I had never heard of this book before. This is a brand new, this author only has one book on the 1001 book countdown as well. And I had, like I said, never heard of it. Now, before I started reading this, I did do a little bit of investigation. And what's really interesting is this painting that's on the cover of this book is it's a real painting. It is The Parable of the Blind, or The Blind Leading the Blind, which was painted in the 1500s and is currently on display display in a museum in a gallery in Naples, Italy. The idea behind this is the blind leading the blind. So the very first character, which you can't see here, which I'll put a graphic up here for you of the painting, is that there are 6 men who cannot see, and each one is trying to lead the other one to get to a location, but none of them can see, and the catastrophe that follows them around from that. Now the book, what the book is doing, and the painting is actually really an interesting painting. I'd love to be able to see it in person after having read the book. The book, what it does is it takes the characters that are in this painting and basically makes it the point right before they're going to be painted. So the painter has commissioned them to come in and be painted, and this village that they're in, people are not super accepting of them. In some ways they make fun of them. In some ways they take them to the wrong location. In some cases they say, we're going to take you back here so you can use the facilities. And really they are in a field and visible to everyone. It's a big parable on the people who may not know as much leading the next person who doesn't know as much, and then the people who are supposed to be helping these people maybe not doing the best thing for them. Lots and lots of just hidden meaning in this book. I didn't find the meaning to be super subtle, though. It was very clear what was going on with this particular one, and how the parable and how it goes along with everyday life. And I really enjoyed this particular one, mainly because of the backstory and the painting. I thought it was very clever that the author would have come up with that, to have this idea of the painter commissioning these 6 to go and to be painted. But overall, I really did think that this was a great book. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it was, again, not too long of a book, and I'm happy that I found it. This is part of the reason why I like the 1001 book list, is because I will find a gem like this that I really enjoy quite a bit that I had never heard of. But with this book, we do get to go from 861 to 860, and it was on my 2023 list. So that number goes from 26 down to 25. Okay, the next, I do have another book already. So the next book is The Awakening by Kate Chopin. This book was originally published in 1900, and this is the only book that Kate Chopin has on the 1001 Book Countdown. I had seen this book around. I had thought about reading it in the past. It's not super long. It's about 150, 160 pages, and it is not my favorite, unfortunately. It's one that I was super excited to read. I really wanted to find out what this cover was about, wanted to find out more about this one, see if I enjoyed this particular book, because it is a book that I have wanted to read. And so this book follows a main character, Mrs. Pontellier, whose first name is fantastically Edna. It just has such an old-timey name to her. It was written in 1900. That name was maybe more popular then. It's not a name we hear today. And Mrs. Pontellier is not a very happy individual. She is on vacation with her family, her husband, and it is clear that she is not enjoying herself, that she's having a very difficult time. Don't know why, what's going on with her, but there's something going on with her. And as we go throughout the story, that just progresses and manifests in a wide variety of different ways, one more troubling than the next. Her husband, how he handles things may or may not have been the right way. And for me, I didn't like her very much. I liked some of the characters that she was around more than I liked her. There was a lot in her family that I just was like, that I was just wondering what is going on. And then I did not appreciate the ending very much. I get there's a lot of themes of mental health, of taking care of yourself, of a happiness, of family in this particular book, but it wasn't my favorite. I made it through it, is what I would say. It's a book that I will probably forget. Maybe won't forget the ending, but for the most part, it was just kind of okay. Yeah, that was The Awakening, my experience with Awakening by Kate Chopin. With that book, though, we do get to go from 860 to 859. I'm in the 850s. Wow. And 25 to 24. That's what I said at the beginning, that it seems a little more possible that maybe I might make it there. I am going to stop recording now and come back after I have read more. I don't know how many more books I'll have this week for you, but we'll see. All right, the next book that I read in my 1001 book countdown was Wittgenstein's Nephew by Thomas Bernhard. This book was originally published in 1982. Thomas Bernhard has 6 books on the 1001 Countdown, but this is actually my first experience reading a Thomas Bernhard novel. This book is autobiographical in nature. It really documents a time where Bernhard struggled and had a chronic lung disease and was in and out of the hospital having many, many surgeries, and his friend Paul Wittgenstein was also in and out of some of the same facilities, but for a different illness, more of a mental illness. And so it was really interesting, kind of the comparison of the two characters, how they see the world differently, how they think differently. I really liked that. There were also a number of components in it where there were a fair amount of philosophy in it, and I'm not a huge fan of philosophy, but I was really intrigued by this. One of my favorite ones was the idea that his friend Paul had just so many ideas rolling around in his head that his brain couldn't handle it, and his brain basically explodes. And that is how Bernhard described the mental illness that his friend suffered. I thought that was really interesting. He did compare some things to Nietzsche, which also, I'm not familiar with Nietzsche, but I thought that was also kind of really interesting, and just how they saw the world differently and the way he used examples of how they saw different things. I thought that was truly brilliant. I will say, however, this book has a format that is my least favorite of any format. There are no chapter breaks in this book at all. And worse than that, there's no paragraph breaks. So it is just one long, continuous stream of text. It didn't feel like stream of consciousness necessarily. It just felt like a lot in a very condensed space. It was only a little over 100 pages long, so it's not a long book. But wow, there was so much in it, and so much I'm kind of still thinking about. But the format, no, did not like the format of this book at all. I liked having it as an ebook, which is why I don't have the physical book here. I thought that was great because I could highlight things, but that just continual text is just such a struggle for me personally. I have a hard time. I definitely have a hard time. But with this book, we do get to go from 859 to 858, and it was on my 2023 list. So that number gets to go from 24 to 23. I am not unhappy with that number. So this will actually be the last book in my countdown for this week. What's coming next? I do have, a good stack of books. The first one is Saul Bellow Seize the Day. Definitely working on this one. And White Sargasso Sea by Rhys. Still working on it, but you can see there is an actual bookmark in it now. I've finished part 1 of this one, and I'm on to part 2. So this one is looking promising for my next couple of books in my 30 books in 30 days challenge. Outside of that, I don't know. I have a huge stack, but for my 1001 books, I'm starting to get some really longer ones. So we'll see how this weekend goes and see how much I can read. But that is the end of my countdown. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've read any of these books. I would love to hear from you. Are you reading anything for Shorty September? I feel like my Shorty September is turning into a full-length novel September, which is going to be a challenge, but I'm working on it. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.